Back again, another episode. Free agency has begun in the NFL, and it is going absolutely bonkers on the first day. So we got a
First
lot.
official day.
Yeah,
There's
first
always
official day,
tampering that goes on, but
right?
official day.
But yeah, like you said, first official day. So we're gonna get into all that a little bit later. Um, but we'll start with some basketball stuff because we're getting down to the thick of it now. We're officially about a little more than a week into March, so coming down to the wire. And we'll start off as we always do with our Lakers, my Lakers, Braun fan. So kind of our Lakers, right? Uh, Still in kind of the now on the tail end of that 10, that stretch of games that were going to be really difficult for them. I felt like, and honestly, Matt, not too bad. I think we're playing more consistent now. Um, but you look, starting, let's say, with the Suns game, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they're 6-3 in this tough stretch in their past. If you want to go to 7-3 in their past 10. So honestly, a little bit surprising. Uh we got a little bit lucky. There were some injuries. But LeBron also missed the game and came up big in another one. So these other games I do want to talk about. Bucks, Lakers. That's the one I want to start off with, Matt. That was the one LeBron was not playing. And I kind of thought we were dead in the water, to be honest, without LeBron. But to me, this was a huge game because Giannis was playing, Dame was playing, and guys stepped up when they needed to, especially the guy who I think has solidified himself as obviously the best shooter on this team. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Uh, but D'Angelo Russell, he had 44 points and the game winning shot in that one, shot in 9 of 12 from three. And, Anthony Davis still did his thing in that one, 22 points, 12 boards. Austin Reeves, he's right there. Gonna produce every night consistently now, I feel like. So I feel like, we've kind of this offense has kind of settled in, but it's good to see that, even without LeBron, D'Angelo Russell is gonna step up, kind of take command of that offense. I mean, 17 of 25, he's probably not gonna shoot like that every night. Uh, but just knowing that he has that in the tank really, really is good for Lakers fans everywhere. And, we're only getting healthier. I saw possibly Jared Vanderbilt and Gabe Vincent, but I'm not relying on too much from Gabe Vincent. But Jared Vanderbilt, if he can come back, I think that's gonna be huge. Because he can play kind of late game defense. I know Spencer Dinwiddie had the big block on Dame, but if I'm being honest, I feel much more comfortable with Jared Vanderbilt guarding the opponent's best guard than Spencer Dinwiddie. But he got the job done in this one, Matt. And I think this was the biggest statement win for the Lakers. Without LeBron, guys showed up when they needed to. And yeah, D'Lo was old D'Lo tonight or that night.
Well, I think it helps when in some ways, it kind of helps the Lakers, I think, with LeBron being out because it's like guys are technically going to defer to him just because he's LeBron James, right? He's the best player on your team. The offense goes through him, as we all know. But when he's out, it's like, okay, other guys need to step up. You can't just be deferring to AD all the time. You can't be deferring to so and so all the time, right? You got to get scoring somehow. You got to, somehow get 25 points. What is LeBron averaging? Like 25. 7 and 7, right? You got to somehow produce that without him. So guys need to be more aggressive, be more playmakers within the offense, I think. And that's where D'Angelo Russell's big night came in. It's like, okay, LeBron's out. AD is going to do AD things, as we kind of would expect. He's your best player on the floor. But who's going to take that LeBron, role in a sense of taking that 25 shots a game? Well, that was D'Angelo. He got an extra probably 10 shots up, maybe. Austin Reeves. Didn't take that many. I saw 12, but he was still efficient. But with D'Lo just hot from the start, they just kind of rode his wave really the whole game. I mean, you said the Lakers were dead in the water. They kind of were. Like even late in the fourth, the Bucks started to slowly get some momentum, but sure enough, D'Angelo Russell comes, saves the day. I mean, he just goes on a heater, literally puts the team on his back. And I don't know if you saw, but in the huddle, the Lakers were down. I believe they were down one, right? And then they have the ball. D'Angelo ends up scoring on the floater. But in the timeout, there was this lip sync saying that LeBron was telling D'Lo, like, you take the shot, you take it. He wasn't telling AD, oh, AD, like, you short time. He went to D'Lo's ear and he said, you take it. This is your moment. And he delivered. He delivered. And I think that's a huge confidence booster for D'Angelo. You can go back to Western Conference Finals last year, right? He was awful. He was terrible. I mean, if he plays average, I'm not going to say you guys win the series, but definitely I would think you guys squeak out a game, maybe two, and then, who knows what happens with the cards after that. But I think a full circle moment for D'Angelo too. Um, kind of a surreal moment, I think, because we all know the story of D'Angelo, how he started with the Lakers, a young kid at the end of Kobe's career. He's supposed to be the next up and coming guy, but he has some issues on and off the court. Eventually gets traded, comes back. But you just see the growth and the maturity of him as a person, really. I mean, even though he doesn't have it all the time, I see him on TV. He's always engaged on the bench. If he's not in the fourth quarter, right, he's cheering on his teammates. Like, good things happen for guys who stay committed, stay focused, put the team first. And for him, this was his moment. So I think that's just a great testament to him, how much work he's put in. And, when you have the confidence of your best player, your leader, LeBron James, telling you, I want you to take the shot, that goes a long, long way. So you got D'Lo and you got Austin Reeves. We already know Austin Reeves and LeBron, they have that chemistry. So I think good things are on the way for you guys. And like I said earlier, if you guys get in the 7 or the 8 seed at minimum, that's a great spot. Great spot for you guys to be in at a worst case scenario. Maybe you guys just get on a heater and you guys somehow get to the 6 seed. I don't think that's going to happen realistically, but you guys are one game out? The Lakers are now one game out of the 8 seed. The Mavericks are kind of, hitting a little rock or a tailspin in the road. So there is a shot and it's open. So if Jared Vanderbilt comes back, and I said Gabe Vincent was a huge addition in the offseason, I still believe he can be a huge addition. Maybe he's not going to have the big impact, but can he give you quality, 10, 15 minutes, maybe off the bench? Yeah, absolutely. He was part of the finals run last year for the Heat. So I think, yeah, health is the key at this point. The chemistry is there, but, you know, I'm just happy for D'Lo at the end of the day. This is a great, great moment for him. And yeah, it was great. And Dinwiddie, we can't forget Dinwiddie. He was the big trade acquisition too, but he had a moment. That's all you need. When your role players have specific moments, LeBron and AD are going to do their thing. So if one or two guys can chip in every single day, every game, yeah, you guys can beat anybody.
Yeah, definitely, Matt. I like the point you brought up about D'Angelo. I think I can't agree with you more with kind of his redemption arc in LA. Almost bullied out of LA, out of the locker room with that whole fiasco that went down. But for him to come back and embrace, the negativity that was gonna come and the volatile LA fans, let's be honest, they're
Ruthless.
ruthless, absolutely ruthless. One of the top Laker pages I follow on Twitter or X now. He's singing praises for a guy one night and literally ripping on him the next night. And I think that's just how it is being a Lakers fan, except if you're LeBron. I mean, even LeBron isn't safe all the time from Lakers fans. So it just comes with the brand, right? And for him to come back and respond, and now, like you said, I feel like really finding his role, finding his rhythm with this team. It's just really good to see, and I'm encouraged, and I hope it continues. And I hope we get a championship out of him this year because he's going to be expensive. Uh, I believe he has maybe
He
one
signed for
year
two
left.
years, right? So he has one
Yeah,
more year after. Yeah.
but I think he has an option, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know if he's going to opt in. I would be very surprised if he opts in at whatever number he's at right now. I'm sure the market for him uh, is going to be huge. So hopefully we can get a championship run. Would be kind of a perfect story, full circle moment for him to come back to LA, I should say, and help us win a championship. But nonetheless, um, I would say that yeah, the seeding to me doesn't matter as long as we don't match up with the Nuggets in the first round. Uh, I think I truly believe from the bottom of my heart with how this team is playing, how we're coming together now, can beat any team in a best of seven except Denver because barring health, obviously, but relying on LeBron, relying on AD, relying on the role players even now that have been there. Austin Reeves has experience, D'Lo has experience. Guys like Rui. I don't know. I think that matchup wise, they can match up with anyone. We've seen them beat the Thunder. We've seen them beat the Timberwolves, the Clippers. All on this stretch that they've been on. So not too scared. It's just Denver, and with how Jokic is, I mean, it's like he wasn't even trying, and now he's like, okay, guys, I'll just turn into MVP mode again and carry this team. I think they came back from down 21 tonight, get another triple double. So yeah, Denver is the buzzsaw right now, and I think that's just the team you're not going to want to face. So if they do overtake OKC for that one seed, I think you do whatever you can to get that seven seed, win the play, posture yourself to get in that playing game for the seven seed, win that, and you can take on everyone else essentially
Yeah.
from there.
That's why I think seeding matters. Like that's why I say the Lakers need to get at least in the eight spot at the end of the regular season, because at least you still play for the seven
Exactly.
seed. It's on the road, but yeah, that doesn't matter if you have LeBron James on your team, right?
Right. So yeah, we'll see. But I'm liking how we're looking right now, and I'm hoping we're only going to get better. Dinwiddie, not a big splash. I don't think it's been outstanding. He had that one great moment, but overall, I feel like it's a little bit hard to, joining a team this late in the season, trying to find your groove. See, the thing is, without Jared Vanderbilt, like Rui has to play a lot of defense, and I think as much improved Rui is offensively. He's a little bit more consistent now, can get you a bucket, not afraid to take the big shot. He just is a liability on defense, to be quite honest. Uh, he's just not as quick laterally, can't really stay in front of the guards, and not quite big enough to body up when the Lakers want to go small. So it just puts him in a kind of a tricky spot. But I will say one thing I did like from Darvin Ham, and I haven't really sung any Darvin Ham praises all year, but the switch that he made late in that game, going with Jackson Hayes, going with Cam Reddish late in that game to kind of help get a stop before the Dame won. Uh, I thought that was a big moment, and just good to see, yeah, guys like Cam Reddish, Jackson Hayes use their athleticism, to be able to go out there and impact the game because you know Jackson Hayes, I think he knows his role very well. Cam Reddish still would like to see him shoot the three a little bit better, but defensively, I think he can be an asset deep into these playoffs. So yeah, looking forward to seeing what the Lakers do and how they finish up kind of this uh gauntlet run they've been on. So hopefully they end it strong and gain some ground in the standings. But other than that, the other basketball thing, Matt, uh, so neither of us really had the Timberwolves, right, as contenders. And I feel like now, even more so with the loss of Cat, we kind of are shying away even more. At least I am. Um, I really, really like Anthony Edwards. Like I'm very, very high on him, but I don't think he can carry the entire load by himself just yet. I think what, and I think he's improved since Cat's gone down, but I think once he really becomes more of a playmaker, with the ball, um, I think it's just going to take his game to the next level. But right now, I'm a little bit concerned for the Timberwolves. I think without Cat, honestly, I don't. Maybe they win one series, but if they get matched up against, say, even the Lakers or looking like the Suns at this point is a possibility, I'm not giving them a chance without Cat.
Yeah, and I think what's hurting them the most because I believe Cat is supposed to come back this season, but it's like early in the playoffs, I think is his timeline. So about a month. So basically he's gone for the regular season and maybe he comes back, say, game two, game three of your first round series. The regular season kind of matters for the Timberwolves here, I think. They're playing for that one seed, right? They have a shot, but what if they drop to, I don't know, say they drop to the four seed? Like, yeah, or I don't know, with how the West is right now, could they drop to the five? And then it's like you go from potentially having home field or home court advantage throughout maybe the Western Conference bracket versus you going on the road in the first round. Like that's really like extreme, but that's just kind of the nature of the NBA, right? You're one injury away from your season changing, and it's unfortunate that it's Cat, right? But that's just the nature of it with how the Western Conference is. There is a possibility that this team slips in the standings significantly because of the Western Conference depth and how good one through you could say 10, right, in the Western Conference is this year. So I think it's huge more for their regular season in a sense because they're playing for that seeding, which is so precious for a team that's been on top one and two the whole season, really controlling, having a good pace, and then they're one injury away, and now here come the Nuggets, right? They're just striding at the right time. So just a sick blow, I think, for them for Cat. But yeah, even if Cat comes back, I don't expect him to go far because he's gonna be out over a month, right? He's got to get his legs going, and it's like, can you imagine doing that in the playoffs? Like everything just gets harder and harder each game, each round. So yeah, that's just a huge blow. I mean, we never really gave them a legit shot to be championship contenders, but we did have them potentially as our, floor and ceiling, right? Winning a series here and there. I'm not so sure anymore just because of that injury. It's a huge blow for me.
Yeah. And well, we'll see how it kind of shapes out without Cat and check on them next week. And the ever-changing standings in, the Western and Eastern Conference. So we'll get to that more next week. But we've got a lot of other stuff to talk about. So why don't we move on here, Matt? Get to some UH basketball. We concluded our regular season now on a high note. So why don't you dive in and explain to us how these past two games went?
Well, thankfully the regular season is over. What a crazy, I don't know if you want to say it's a relief, but just thankful that this unusual regular season feeling is finally done, can put it behind us because It was very, very up and down. But like you said, on the bright side, they do close it out at home with two huge victories to secure the number 3 seed in the Big West tournament coming up this week. Um, first game they played Wednesday against CSUN. This was a huge game because the winner of this game had the inside track to securing a first round bye in the tournament. Luckily, UH squeaks out a win by 72-70. But kind of the theme of really both games of the weekend, UH, I don't want to say they for the most part, they were in control of the game. And then I don't know what happens, but the lead just vanishes quickly. And it all of a sudden becomes a dogfight. And they really just did survive on Thursday. It came down to a last possession shot for CSUN, and they had a chance to tie the game or if not take the lead. So just when you have a 12-point lead in the second half, you let them come all the way back. Yeah, that's not a good recipe for success. And I think free throw shooting was a huge issue. Obviously, Bernardo da Silva, not the greatest free throw shooter, but he was 6 for 14 as an individual. That's gonna keep the other team in the game. And yeah, it's kind of hard to overcome that, I guess you could say. But you know what? They survived that one, and then you go on to Saturday's game against Bakersfield, a team that Hawaii was projected to kind of control and dominate, but Bakersfield came out kind of punching. They had the lead early. UH finally flexes their muscle. Justin McCoy led the way this one. I think he had 23 points, 10 of 10 at the line, which is, perfect. So that's good to see. But again, UH, they go up by like 18 or 19 second half, and I'm thinking, all right, we got this. Like senior night, we're gonna get all the guys off the bench. They're gonna get to play a lot in this game. Maybe a nice 5-minute stretch. Well, speaking of 5-minute stretch, in about 5 minutes after I said that, we're down. We're only up 5, and I'm like, what is going on? Like UH, they have a tendency, I feel like, to settle for the 3, and they were making them, on that stretch run when they built that lead to 20. But then they start missing. They keep missing again, and they keep shooting threes. But Bakersfield, they're making a jumper here and there. They get a layup, right? And before you know it, you keep missing 5 to 7 threes in a row. You're going to get your lead cut down pretty significantly. So the offense, started off strong, but 2 3-point happy. So when the shots aren't falling, go inside. Go inside, go to the line. Justin McCoy's getting fouled a lot. Give him the rock. He's a good free throw shooter. Noel Coleman, right? Our best playmaker. Go get a bucket, but take it inside. And if you get the open 3 on a, drive and kick, that's the 3 we're going to take. They kept taking contested threes, kind of just pulling up really. Munoz had a couple, but he also had a few bad shots, I thought. So, yeah, the offense was just kind of stagnant, I think, in that stretch run. But, eventually they did pull away. It was senior night, so the seniors were honored. There were 6 seniors on this team. But I thought it was funny. So, I'm watching the game at Hunter, right? And Javon McClanahan, he's a senior, right? So, we've had our fair shares of comments about him, but I just thought it was hilarious that on his senior shot, he didn't dunk, he didn't shoot a 3-pointer. He's just gonna take a simple layup. He missed the layup. He missed the layup. I don't think I've laughed louder the entire basketball season. I think I just I don't know how loud my laugh was, but it was pretty loud and it was pretty quiet. So like it was quite a spectacle to see. I mean, I've never seen someone miss their senior shot shooting a layup. Not even a 3-pointer, it's a layup. And speaking of missed shots, Bernardo da Silva, he took a free throw, which I thought was funny. But he ended up missing the free throw and he dunked it after. But kind of some senior night theatrics, I guess, from this senior class. But yeah, that Jovan moment was just hilarious. So
Was it like
great.
he missed on purpose?
No, no, he was legit trying to make it because the crowd was like, oh, like like they're stunned that he just missed the layup. And I just busted out laughing. I thought it was so funny. Like, why would you miss on purpose? Like, I think that's like, who does that?
Yeah,
Nobody
I
does
don't know.
that. And you're shooting a
I'm just trying
layup.
to. I
It's a
don't know. I'm just trying to
layup.
defend him a
Like,
little bit.
no one's guarding him. Like, it's just a it's like playing what is that game? The basketball game around the
Oh, school or
yeah,
whatever.
school. Yeah. So you're shooting that first shot, right? The layup. Like he just missed it. He missed it. So I don't know. Maybe the moment was too big for him. I don't know. But I just thought that was funny. So yeah, what a way for Javon to close out his UH career at home. Just classic. Give me one more moment of gloating, I guess. But let's look at the big picture now. Regular season's done. Somehow this team gets the number 3 seed in the tournament. I'm blown away at how that happened. They did get lucky because UC San Diego does not qualify for a postseason berth this year. They will next year, I believe. So theoretically, they finish fourth, but one team at the top not eligible. So everyone gets bumped up a spot. UH is the 3 seed. They get a first round bye. Unfortunately, though, they do sit on the side of the bracket of UC Santa Barbara and CSUN. That's who they will play the winner of that game on Wednesday. But I'm going to assume that Santa Barbara is going to win. And that is the one team, maybe outside of UC Irvine, that gives UH fits. Like Santa Barbara won both games this year. They have AJ Mitchell probably going to go to the NBA next year. He's what I saw on a mock draft earlier was a first round pick at one point, late first round pick. So talented, talented player, Big West player of the year last year. It's a scary feeling, I guess, even though they're on the opposite side of UC Irvine on the bracket. But just the fact that I feel Santa Barbara is going to be the matchup, and it would just be a travesty if they lose again, meaning a one and done performance. And this one is worse because you're still the higher seed, you're the 3 seed. Santa Barbara was the preseason favorites, had a very up and down regular season. They really underachieved throughout their season, but that can all be forgotten if they go on a run in this Big West tournament. But I'm a little scared, not gonna lie. If they play CSUN, I like my chances a little better. They did split home and home, and we just played CSUN, so we know what they have, right? But just that feeling of playing Santa Barbara, potentially going one and done, not 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 what I want to feel. And I know it's probably not going to happen at this point, but to me, if that happened, Ranganat should be gone. That's my opinion. I don't know what they're gonna do with the AD and whatnot, but Ranganat cannot go one and done in this tournament. He just cannot. Like we get it. He wins a lot in the regular season, but who are we playing? We're playing, no offense, but we're playing lesser talent. That's not making us better when it comes to this conference tournament, Diamond Head Classic kind of games, right? So if that's the way you want to do it, so be it. But you got to give us something. Give us something to cheer about, get hyped about. And we can't just keep having this feeling of, oh, yay, we made it to the tournament. But you know what? That's how we're going to go because our team is not battle tested. We didn't have the experience. We didn't have the quality of opponents to play throughout the season to prepare us for our tough um, conference matches throughout the regular season. So it's now or never. That's how they should be looking at it. And especially for Rangana, honestly. Outside of that tournament team, that wasn't even his players, that was Gib Arnold's team. You've had one season in maybe 8, you could say 8 teams that you've constructed. without Kip Arnold's players. 8 teams, you've advanced to the semifinals once. The rest of them, you went one and done in the tournament. That is unacceptable for a team like UH in the Big West Conference. So I'm worried, but Ganot, you need to deliver. And if you deliver, you can get us at least to the championship. Maybe all will be forgotten for this season, but it's been a very up and down season. We'll probably have Hunter on at some point to recap the season, but I'm saying my feeling right now, like you need to come through for the state, for the basketball fans who deserve this, because we have not seen winning culture in the Big West tournament since 2016. And oh, by the way, we were in high school. So, we're middle-aged adults in our 20s now, you could say. We
Middle
were teenage.
aged. We're
Middle,
not
I should
middle
say,
aged.
no, it's not middle age, but
We're
like we're in our
grown.
we're in our mid 20s. We're in our
Yeah,
mid 20s, and
that's
we were
true.
in high school the last time this team had any success, I should say. So time is ticking, and it's time to deliver now, Ganot. So let's do it. Thursday is the big day, so we'll see next week how the mood is, but I'm already bracing for what I think is going to happen, honestly, because it's Iran Ganot. Iran cannot. That's why. So we'll see how it is. But Hunter will probably have his thoughts on this season, and I don't think he'll be happy as well.
Well, I'm manifesting a UH win and a UH tourney berth this year. I don't know how, but play through Justin McCoy, play through Noel Coleman, play the best defense you can, and we have a shot, maybe.
And get lucky. You got to get lucky sometimes,
Yeah, you
but
got to get a little bit of lucky, or you got to have a little bit of luck on your
some
side.
Vegas net or
Yeah.
Vegas
So,
luck, I guess.
but like you said, Matt, we will definitely check back in with this team, see how they're doing next week. But other than that, still got a lot to talk about. And let's get to the big chunk. Honestly, I forgot NFL free agency started today. Started today. Um, but man, did it go absolutely crazy. I couldn't even keep up. Like, uh, I would check back in like every, hour or hour and a half when I would kind of like, stand up or take a break from staring at my computer. And I'm like, what? It's like every single time I just went up to check my phone, it was something different. New, and it's not like, I don't want to say small names, but there were big market names that were moving, guys, transferring teams, rumors just turned into official signings like that. So why don't we get right into it, Matt? Because been itching for a little bit of NFL talk. So we'll start off with arguably the most important position, the quarterbacks, and a couple big ones. So I'll go over some of them and we can discuss. So Russell Wilson started it all off. I believe he decides to go and join the Steelers. Kirk Cousins, I mean, Mr. Someone, all quarterbacks out there, study whatever the heck Kirk Cousins and his agent has done throughout his career because he just knows. I don't know if it's him or his agent. They know how
It's
to
his
get paid.
agent, the agent.
They know how to get paid. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they're talking about behind the scenes, but everyone rips on Kirk Cousins. Oh, he can't, Kirk isn't clutch. He can't play on prime time, yada yada yada. If you're an NFL, prospect, I think you aspire to have the type of career Kirk Cousins has had, honestly. With all the
Financially.
yeah, financially, the franchise tags that he's endured, the 1 2 year deals that net him like 40 something mil a year, and now a 5 year contract at age 35, coming off an Achilles tear with I think $100 million guaranteed money. I what?
was like
That's kind
four
of.
years, 180 right in
Oh, was it
total.
four? Okay, four.
I
So
think it was 4.
4 years, 100. Well, yeah, 100 million guaranteed though. That's to me
Yeah,
absolutely insane because we don't even know what Kirk is gonna look like coming back. I mean, yeah, he's not a runner anyway, but Achilles, man, that takes out. I mean, yes,
Aaron
Aaron.
Rodgers.
Yes, Aaron Rodgers has recovered faster than anyone, and medicine is better now. KD did it right, come back, and we kind of just forget KD tore his Achilles. Um, but it's still like a serious injury that shouldn't be taken too lightly. So interesting to see how he does there. Um, and then kind of the other quarterbacks that we saw go, Mac Jones, I get shipped off to Jacksonville to back up Trevor Lawrence, and then Gardner Minshew to the Raiders. A little bit interesting. I'm guessing just a plug and play. Maybe they look to invest in the draft, have someone sit, or at the very least, you have a very high value backup quarterback in Las Vegas. And then I also believe I saw today, so Sam Darnold now, similar situation. He goes over to the Vikings to replace
Crazy
Kirk
contract.
Cousins' spot. Terod Taylor is going over to the Jets to back up Aaron Rodgers. I think, actually a pretty good signing for the Jets. And I believe Jacoby Brissett over to the Patriots. So reunited back in New England. I'm gonna guess a similar role, either start at the beginning of the year, or he's gonna be a very high valued veteran presence in that quarterback room. So a lot of guys flying off the board right off the jump, Matt. Uh, let's talk about the main ones first, and we'll start with Russell Wilson. I think this is a very, very intriguing move. I mean, absolutely great deal. I think if you're the Steelers, because you're not eating any of his cap, you get to sign him on the minimum. Was it like one year, $1.2 million? Denver's eating all his salary that gets cut. So it's almost like a win-win for the Steelers because yeah, Russell Wilson, the narrative was he didn't perform, but I mean his numbers last year much better than year one in Denver. And I think, you know, we it'll be interesting to see because it's Mike Tomlin. We kind of have that Steelers culture. We're really just missing a guy that can just get it done consistently. Maybe you could say, Kenny Pickett. Yeah, he has moments, but we had this question marks about him, and obviously Mitch Trubisky did not pan out the way I think Steelers fans were expecting. Yet Mike Tomlin still finishes 500. So I think Matt, I'll defer to you first. I'm just curious, what is your initial thoughts? We're still early in free agency. We haven't even hit the draft yet, but initial thoughts with the Russell Wilson signing.
I wouldn't say I'm shocked because I feel like that's kind of the direction that you should maybe take if you're the Steelers because of how they played out or things played out with Kenny Pickett. Right, you draft a young quarterback, you try to groom him. Things didn't really work out, but if you look at the roster construction, guys are kind of ready to win now. I would say TJ, he's getting up there, but he's still in his prime. You got Minka, was that Cam Hayward? Defense is loaded with talent, and also young talent, Joey Porter. And then on the offensive side of the ball, Najee, Jalen Warren. It's a nice, quality 1-2 punch for a quarterback to have. I think you got a bruiser, and then you got the speed with Jalen Warren, and then I guess you could say George Pickens as a elite, or you could say a talented receiver prospect. Maybe Deontay Johnson stays now. He's been rumored in trade talks, but I just think everything speaks veteran roster, ready to win now. You got a veteran coach. So why are you trying to waste time developing somebody at the quarterback when time is of the essence? And you have a chance to get a veteran like Russell Wilson, who's won a Super Bowl before. Um, yeah, and with obviously the big kicker is the financial impact. If he sucks, then oh well, we only paid him the veteran minimum. But man, if he takes you to the playoffs, maybe wins you a game or two, like that's a bargain. And then obviously you would probably then rework a deal to have him extended. But I think that's a very smart business and football move by the Steelers going forward. I think very low risk, but high reward in the future for them.
Yeah, I agree. And I think AFC North is just turned into it was already a bloodbath. Man, I can't even imagine now what it's gonna look like next season with Lamar. You still got Joe Burrow that's gonna come back. Now Russell Wilson and Deshaun Watson, assuming he plays. But regardless, that Cleveland defense is no joke. So it
And
is
they
gonna
got Jerry
be,
Judy.
yep, four heavyweights in the AFC North. Uh I mean, is Joe Flacco coming back? Maybe to Cleveland? I don't know.
I think
We're
he wants
yet
to
to see.
start, maybe.
I would think he would want to start. But I think regardless that we can agree that's a playoff roster, as they're currently constructed, even before free agency and the draft. So we'll see. Yeah, we'll definitely get more into in depth, talk as the season approaches later this year. But just highlighting now, man, that is a gonna be a ridiculous division, with those teams. So, um, the next one though, Kirk Cousins, Matt, down in Atlanta. I think on paper, I think this is a good fit for Kirk because it kind of gives him a change of pace, fresh scenery, fresh start. And honestly, for Atlanta, I mean, a little bit puzzling, maybe with the direction they're going in because they're still fairly young, I would say, offensively. Drake London, Kyle Pitt's not that old. Obviously, you got Bijan down there. Um, I don't know. I still think they're pretty young, but maybe they feel like they have a chance to win now, with the NFC South being what it is. So maybe this is their way of saying, all right, I'm all in. They've been almost there with Desmond Ritter, Taylor Heineke, even Marcus, older Matt Ryan before that. And they were just still hanging in there. So maybe they think if we just get average Kurt, we just get average quarterback play in
Hey,
here,
if
that'll
you're
take us to the
average,
playoffs.
you'll be 7-9 and win the division.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't blame Atlanta for thinking that way because I still think their defense is pretty good too. But now with it is Raheem Morris, right, down in Atlanta. So with him there, kind of restructuring the culture of that team, I'm excited for this team. I think it's gonna come back to bite Atlanta in 2 years maybe because I don't know how Kirk is gonna play at 37, 38 years old. But I think right now, uh, if you're not gonna try to get Justin Fields, maybe he was just too much. Chicago was asking for too much. I don't really know, but if you don't get Justin Fields, and Russell Wilson already off the board, I think Kirk Cousins is probably the best, one of the best free agents. You can just go out there and kind of at least know what you're getting, right? Some guys, are looking for second chances, could bounce back, maybe not. But with Kirk, I think it's pretty solid of what you're getting with him. So I like it for the short term for the Falcons, but it's the Falcons. I just have that feeling. They're like, Falcons and Chargers, Matt. I I can't explain it. There's no reason for me to be thinking this logically, but something just goes wrong or they just find ways to lose games. So wishing Kirk all the best, but I don't know, Matt. Do you think this makes Atlanta a contender or at least an NFC South favorite over the Bucks?
I think so. I wouldn't say contender. I'm going to say contender as team that should realistically have Super Bowl aspirations with the roster construction. No, I don't think they're a Super Bowl team at all. Can they make the playoffs? Absolutely now, because we've seen the division the past really 2 years, even the last year at Brady. That was when the division just kind of declined a little bit. And even last year with Baker, right? They got in what 9-8 division winner. So Is that the magic number? You got to win 9 to 10 games and you win that division and you get a home playoff game. Like, yeah, sign me up if you're the Falcons. So with their thinking, yeah, I think Kirk is a great move. When football season starts, in a few months from now, we'll give our predictions. But I'm leaning early to a Bucks Falcons. It's kind of a toss up at this point. Do I pick Baker? Do I trust Baker or Kirk more? That's kind of like how I'm thinking of it, really. But to be honest, if I was a Falcons fan, something wants me to try get Justin Fields just to see if he can kind of grow with this roster. I feel like, Justin Fields is still a young quarterback. And in Chicago, not the most ideal quarterback grooming situation, I guess. But maybe with a new quarterback or with a new head coach, with Raheem Morris, yes, he's a defensive coordinator at heart, but a new coach, new system, just a new culture. Sometimes that works wonders for guys in their careers. And I think Justin Fields has the talent. I think he's from Atlanta. Um, I just thought it would have been a pretty nice fit there, I think, just because of the age and how the players are. Bijan, young player, Drake London, young, Kyle Pitt. You could have potentially that's your offensive core for the next 5, 8 years if it all goes well. And I think that could have been a huge potential. And yes, I don't know what the Bears are asking for Justin Fields, what the price is in terms of draft compensation. But don't you think the financially wouldn't Justin Fields be a little cheaper than Kirk Cousins? I mean, 100 million guaranteed. You're not giving Justin Fields a hundred million guaranteed. Absolutely not. He hasn't proven anything. So could you could potentially, it's like a Russell Wilson situation. You can buy low, you know, and then maybe it sells high, right? Low risk, high reward kind of situation, I think. So if I was the Falcons, I would have went for Justin Fields, but I understand their logic seeing a weak division with Kirk Cousins. So yeah, I mean, it's whatever. Kirk Cousins is he's Kirk Cousins. He's a good dude, but can he win you the big game? I don't think so. But do you like the Kirk Cousins signing better or the Russell Wilson signing better?
Oh, this is so tough for me, Matt, but I'm just gonna lean with the Russell Wilson signing. I mean, it's close. Honestly, I think it benefits both teams, but I think if Russ doesn't do anything crazy, like he doesn't have to be old Russ, just be Denver last year Russ.
Mhm.
Keep your team in the game, try not to turn the ball over. And, I think with Mike Tomlin, he just figures out how to win during the regular season. Because I really thought their quarterback play was like very subpar. Even with Kenny Pickett, like he turns it on in the fourth quarter sometimes, right? But whereas you need to play all 4 quarters. Mitch Trubisky, I'm not even going to get started there. So, I mean, I think for me, it's a bigger deal to have someone, he does have a Super Bowl ring. People, I think, kind of forget that at times. But Russ, he's been there, he's done that. And I think, Sean Payton and Russ did not get along at all.
No.
And so I just think fresh start for Russ and Mike Tomlin, who I think is known to be able to relate with a whole bunch of different guys. I mean, he somehow kept AB under wraps for all that time, right? So I think we've seen he can handle a whole bunch of different personalities. And I just really like the signing for the Steelers because they just needed a little bit of consistency. The Falcons, yeah, it's great to have that consistency, but it's like you said, it's still a little bit confusing because I felt like they were more in a rebuild mindset. Uh, but if they feel like they can win, I mean, I don't, knock them for trying to go out and win now. But I do agree with you. It would have been nice to have a younger QB kind of step in with this new offense and kind of take it to another level. So I'm leaning Steelers personally.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I think for honestly, the main reason is financially. Russ is basically there for cheap, $1 million, but you got 100 million guaranteed invested in a guy who's coming off a career-threatening injury. Yes, he's not a runner, so that helps, I think, for Kirk's sake. But that's a lot of money to throw in there. And if you look at Kirk Cousins' track record as a quarterback, meaning stats, production on the field, it's like, like okay, like it's good, it's not great, it's not bad. So it's a pretty big investment, I think, for a guy of that stature. So hey, his agent is doing wonders. Keep doing it, man. Kirk's doing great. But yeah, financially, I think that makes it a huge big deal for me because Russell Wilson, there's no risk. Kirk Cousins, there's a lot of risk at stake.
Hmm.
If he, for some reason, just doesn't pan out, you're going to be like the Broncos. You're going to be trapped. You're going to be
Right.
in cap hell.
Yep.
So, yep, I think financially points all the direction for me in Russell Wilson as being the best signing QB so far.
Yeah, I agree. And then one more well, for me, maybe we can each pick one more quarterback if you want to talk about them, but Mac Jones. I mean, I
I feel
just
bad for the guy. I feel bad for the
okay,
guy.
I do feel a little bit bad, but in my opinion, and I think I've stated this on the show before, I've felt like Mac Jones has been kind of a dirty player with his antics, right?
Oh yeah,
Like
that's right. You're a Dolphins fan.
okay, yeah, I'm a Dolphins fan, but objectively, and I liked Mac Jones coming out of Alabama. I thought, he was gonna do well in New England, and he did. He had a great rookie year, but I don't know if you remember, he kind of gator rolled Brian Burns' leg after a sack. He kicked one of the Chicago Bears guys in the nuts. And he just started to develop this mantra of like being a dirty player. And I just don't feel I'm all down for antics, Matt. Like Christian Wilkins, for example, he'll like pull towels or do annoying stuff like a little shove after the play. But no, like don't be trying to get guys injured on purpose, step on their hands or stuff like I don't know. I just don't like to see that type of antics, maybe, let's say. And yeah, cherry on top is all those New England fans, right? That when Mac Jones came in and when he was a Pro Bowler, oh, he's so much better than Tua. Tua's blah blah blah. Mac Jones is the GOAT, yada yada yada. And now here we are. And where is Mac Jones? Oh, backing up Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville. And Tua looks like he is on the verge of a long contract extension. So who's laughing now? I'll leave it at that.
Well, I will say to defend Mac Jones, first year he had Josh McDaniels, and then he goes to the Raiders, so he loses his OC. So I feel like in a way he kind of got screwed by Belichick, honestly, because Josh McDaniels leaves. Okay, offensive coach, right? Rookie quarterback makes it pretty easy, right? They go to the playoffs, so I think overall he had a good start. And then sophomore season for him, they bring in Matt Patricia and Joe Judge. First off, why are you having two offensive coordinators? That's a disaster. Like, why would you want two?
First of all,
Conflict of interest.
I'll let you
And
finish. Let you finish.
they're not even offensive coaches. Joe Judge is a special teams coordinator at heart. Matt Patricia is a defensive coordinator, former defensive coordinator for Belichick. What in the right mind are they thinking having them call offensive plays? So I really think that was really the downfall for Mac Jones. It's like he's trying to build confidence second season, but it just goes to shambles. And then from there, it just once it goes down, can't stop the bleeding. So it was just downhill for them. So I feel like he was set up for failure. I'm not going to go into the dirty, I personally, I haven't seen too much. I don't watch Patriot games a lot. So that's your field, that's your division. So I'm deferring to you, but I have to defend Mac Jones a little bit just because I feel like he was set up for failure to some degree by Belichick. That's all I'm going to say about. But I think it is funny that he is backing up Trevor Lawrence, and they were in the same draft class. Like they're in the same draft class, and they were both first round picks in that draft. So the irony, right?
The NFL comes at you fast. What can I say? Um, but as a Tua fan, and I guess I feel like I have to throw this out there. Uh, don't forget Brian Flores hated Tua, so I'm just saying it's tough for a lot of guys. But what I heard, um, I think Colin Cowherd spoke about it either today or yesterday that Mac Jones just couldn't take hard coaching, and if you're gonna be in New England,
He
yeah,
played for
that's
Alabama.
I don't know, Matt. I'm just telling you what I heard. The reports were coming
Hmm.
out about Mac Jones. So whether it's true or not, that's what was reported. Um, which yeah, it doesn't make sense. You're right because you're playing under Nick Saban, but I don't know if all that changed after he got into the league or whatever. But I just think it's funny because, and like I said, it's not more so at Mac Jones. Yeah, he was in a tough situation. It's hard for a lot of guys to be like that. It's more so for all those New England fans that out there that felt like taking shots at Miami and shots at Tua, and it's just like, well, look where that got you. So I'll leave it at that for the quarterbacks.
Okay,
We can get back
I'll
to it.
say my quarterback. I'll say I'll bring up is
Yeah,
I didn't write him in the notes, but I'll say Sam Darnold is a very interesting signing. He went to the Vikings, so that's your replacement, your bridge, I guess, for Kirk Cousins. But I
no,
just feel
they're drafting a
like,
QB. They've
but the
got. There's
contract,
no way.
the ten million dollars, like what is that contract? 1 year up
Yeah,
to 10 million. And even if you draft a quarterback, who in their right mind is paying $10 million for a backup quarterback? Like what? So
I I don't want to speculate too much. I wish we could speak to Riley about it. Um,
yeah,
but he Riley's a big draft guy, so maybe as we get closer, he probably won't come on, but we can get his opinion on the whole situation and what he thinks their Vikings are going to do in the draft. If I just had to crystal ball the situation right now, Matt, I think it's almost like maybe a Fitzpatrick when he was down in Miami with Tua in the wings, or an Alex Smith and Patrick Mahomes situation where he's not going to be the guy. And hey, you're giving him somewhat of a chance. You're assuming he's going to start the season, but if he doesn't finish the season, it's not terrible. It's like it's kind of like when Marcus was there in Atlanta, right? Like, hey, Marcus, you can start the season, but we got Desmond Ritter right behind you, just in case things don't go to plan. And okay, we're shooting, or digging the grave on this season and looking towards the future. So I'm guessing it's one of those types of situations where, hey, maybe Sam, you give us your best, but I don't see the thing. I maybe with you, it's the 10 million, and from what have we seen from Sam Darnold recently? Like what warrants that kind of contract money? We haven't even really seen him in meaningful games, any backup or meaningful games recently. So yeah, a little bit confused by the number. But if I just had to guess what Minnesota's doing, they're doing something like that, and they're drafting a QB.
I
If
mean
not
they
this
have
year,
to.
if not this year, then next year. Maybe Sam Darnold is going to lead the tank train, and uh they tank this year. They trade Justin Jefferson, get more first round picks,
That's what I would say.
completely blow it up, right? Because what else? That's really the only thing that makes sense at this point. Uh, if I'm the Vikings front office,
Yeah,
just blow it up and go get a QB. If not
that,
this year, then next year.
that's a good point that you brought up because you signed Sam Darnold. So obviously that doesn't speak we're all in. We're going for the Super Bowl this year. Like, no, I mean, I think the division is gonna come down to Packers, Lions. One of those two teams. Who knows? But you sign Sam Darnold, that sends a message to Justin Jefferson, like, my quarterback leaves. You bring in a guy that doesn't have the biggest reputation. He wants a contract. Is this really the kind of the end of that Vikings era, I guess, that core? So I think it's interesting because I think that could be a domino effect with that signing because now, like you said, maybe they just trade Jefferson and they tank. But now I'm still confused because I heard rumors that they want Aaron Jones. So it's like, why would you sign Aaron Jones and, you know, trade Jefferson? Like that don't make sense either. So I don't know. But I think this is the I guess you could say cleaning house, the start of cleaning house in Minnesota under Kevin O'Connor. I think
I would.
it's kind of a
I
new thing.
honestly I
I think
would. You're just gonna
for
get the
the
most value out of all those guys.
mhm.
I mean, TJ Hawkinson, we forget he was, I believe, the number one receiving tight end last year. So he's gonna have a huge market, especially with what the tight end position is nowadays, right? So you trade Justin Jefferson and TJ Hawkinson, I think you get a minimum of maybe three first round picks
Well, you
or
get two for Jefferson for
two for
sure.
Jefferson. Maybe you can go one for TJ, just a first, or you look to get a second and a third type of deal for TJ, who is still, I believe, in the prime of his career. So a lot
Mhm.
of different ways I would just look to blow it up. Why even bother trying to get guys like Aaron Jones or anything? Uh, but yeah, just blow it up with the young quarterbacks in the division. I think that's the best way to go about it if you're the Vikings. So,
Yeah, I think so.
uh, but yeah, that's just the quarterbacks, Matt. Now let's get to the absolutely insane running backs carousel, and we've talked about the running back position many times on this podcast, and I think we just have to come to accept that the NFL just does not value running backs uh anymore. Like the money that they're making compared to the other positions is just insane, especially with the types of names that we have here. So, you know what, Matt, there's a lot, so I'm just gonna list them all and then we'll come back to kind of the bigger ones and which one we think were more shocking than others. But start off with your now ex guy, Tony Pollard. He's going over to the Titans on a 3-year deal. DeAndre Swift, so leaving the city of brotherly love and the tush push as a pusher, going to the Bears on a 3-year deal. One of the bigger shocks I think no one really saw coming. Josh Jacobs on a 4-year deal to the Packers, 48 mil. Probably one of the bigger deals we're gonna see out of running backs for a while. I would like to think. With that being said, Packers now cut Aaron Jones and he is unsigned. I'm sure he will not be unsigned for very long, but at the moment he is unsigned. Uh, the other big one that kind of shook up, the NFL was Saquon leaving the Giants and going to the division rival Philadelphia Eagles. I'm sure you're not too stoked about that one, but he goes for 3 years, 37 mil with potential incentives that take his contract to 46, almost 47. And then, I mean, this one's not going to be too crazy for me. Austin Eckler, coming off a down year, does go to the Commanders. Yeah, still gets, nice little contract there for him. I don't think he was the same guy this past year as he was the other previous 6 years, 5, 6 years with the Chargers. Derrick Henry now, question on him. I'm sure he will sign somewhere. I hear he's been getting linked to the Ravens, but I'm hearing the Ravens are offering him like an average of $6 million. And I don't think Derrick Henry is taking less money than what Tony Pollard and DeAndre Swift are gonna accept. I would, I know he's older, but I still think he warrants more of a contract than those guys. So we'll see about him. And then Joe Mixon, our favorite Joe on the Bengals that we always like to talk about, no longer there. And Zach Moss of the Colts going over. So I mean, a little bit of some interesting moves. I think the running back position maybe is the league feels like the talent is, so even now that you just kind of get guys, doesn't really matter. It's like a plug and play. Unless you're maybe a McCaffrey or I thought a Saquon or Jacobs or Derrick Henry, but it seems like a lot of the value around these running backs are hovering just around 8 to 10 to 12 million at most per year. But yeah, some shockers there, Matt. So why don't you just tell me which ones maybe stood out the most to you? I'm sure the Tony Pollard one, you're not too. I mean, I feel like you are happy about that one.
I mean, I'm not shocked to say that he's leaving. Um, it was just unfortunate, I think. The injury just kind of took its toll. Wasn't the same guy, I thought. So I have no hard feelings for Tony Pollard. He was great in his time in Dallas, but I am a little confused of, at least for the Titans' sake, why they signed Tony Pollard, because they have a guy in Tajay Spears that was like thunder and lightning complement to Derrick Henry. So I would think maybe they would, okay, if they're not going to sign Derrick Henry, maybe they try to get a bruiser kind of back to kind of ease the load and then maybe elevate Spears. I don't know if he gets an increased role or something, but Tony Pollard is kind of a similar, like he was literally Tajay Spears, coming out of college. So kind of similar back. So not really understanding the logic there, at least for Tennessee. Um, I mean, if you're gonna pay Tony Pollard, why not give Derrick Henry $8 million for a season? So I don't understand that. Um, but I think you touched on it. The one that's shocking is the Josh Jacobs. Like I really
Out of nowhere, honestly.
didn't really see that one coming. The Saquon to the Eagles. I mean, Wade texted me. He was like, "Oh my gosh, you must be so scared." Like, honestly, I'm not. Like, I'm not like Saquon's a great player, but Dallas has had his number, so we've shut him down before. Jason Kelsey's gone. Okay, like big deal. like okay, it's still gonna come down to Jalen Hurts. I think so. It's not like we haven't seen Saquon before. Like he's a great player. Are they going to be better? Yes, of course, but it's not to the point where it's like, oh, say Tyreek Hill went back to Kansas City or something like that, right? That magnitude. Like, oh my gosh, that would be just terrifying. But Saquon is it's whatever. Good for him. He gets the contract and he's going back home. So I understand the logic there. But Josh Jacobs, we'll stick on this one for me. I was shocked because maybe Dallas was gonna get him. Like I was thinking, okay, yeah, the Raiders are probably gonna sign him back. But the Packers, out of all teams, like don't they have Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon? Like
And it's
didn't Aaron
A Packers team that doesn't typically spend money like huge money on free agents
yeah,
either, which
and
is
offensive free agents.
offensive free agents. So I was, what the Packers? I mean, I think it's a great pickup for them. A little bit weird with, like you said, now they got kind of two bruisers if they do decide to bring back AJ Dillon. But I don't know.
I would say Josh Jacobs isn't really. I mean, he's a
He's
complete
like
three
a three
down
down. Yeah,
back.
he's a complete three down back.
Yeah, but just it's more of the fact that
The
they
Aaron
had Aaron
Jones.
Jones
I
thing, and
agree.
it's like wow, like they really, and it's reported that they had Aaron Jones. They said they had to take like a 50% pay cut to stay on the team, which is pretty insane. But then if you're asking Aaron Jones to take a pay cut, you just paid Josh Jacobs a new big contract himself. He's one of the top paid running backs now. So what what is the point of assigning him to me in that case? You can keep Aaron Jones. You know what you're going to get with him. Him and AJ Dillon complement each other very well. Jordan Love, I mean, I'm not going to speak for Jordan Love, but I'm sure he had great chemistry with Aaron Jones in the locker room. So just that's a confusing move for me with the Packers. Is it a great signing? I don't know. I'll say we'll see. We'll see. But talent wise, yeah. But it was just a unusual signing, just with how Aaron Jones's career played out with Green Bay, and the business of the NFL is just it's just cruel, cruel.
Yeah, definitely. And because I've always liked Aaron Jones too, and I'm sure you hated to see Aaron Jones line up against the Cowboys because he feasted, I believe, every time he played you guys in Dallas. So maybe a little bit of a relief to not be able to see him go off on your team anymore. But I just always thought he was underutilized, weirdly. In Green Bay under Matt LaFleur, I never understood why Matt LaFleur didn't just use him as an absolute workhorse because it seemed like he was he could catch the ball out of the backfield. He has the burst. He can run downhill. So I just never understood why not lean on him more. Um, Maybe that's just me coming from a fan's perspective, but I've always liked Aaron Jones. I've had him in fantasy, several times. I just thought he was a good, solid player. Injuries bit him really bad this year, so I don't know if that was the reason that Green Bay decided to let him go.
I think
But
so.
I mean, I would think so, but man, he took the pay cuts when Aaron Rodgers was still there. This past year, took another pay cut to help the team get better, and that's how you reward him. So, you know what, players, there is no more loyalty. I don't care what they say. You find a team that's going to pay you better, and you feel like it's a better situation for you. I don't hold players I think I used to when I was younger because I didn't understand it as much. But being an adult now, understanding the value of money,
The
a little bit more
business.
the business side, like you got to go take care of yourself. Being a team guy is great and everything. And I think, in a sport like maybe basketball, where there's less guys and it matters a little bit more, or yeah, sorry, pay cuts matter a little bit more because you're gonna get your money eventually, or because the salaries are so much higher. But in football, man, you guys put your whole bodies out there every day. Every snap you take could potentially be the last snap you ever play. Like you gotta go do what you can, make your money, secure your family's future. So I just thought that's kind of messed up for the Packers to do that whole thing. But I hope it all pays off for Aaron Jones in the end. Hey, maybe he goes to Dallas. I don't know how you'd feel about him going to Dallas. I know there's still a lot of running backs out there, but yeah, I definitely hope Aaron Jones gets his chance, and I think he will somewhere. Still a lot of teams out there looking for running back, so
Yeah.
hopefully he goes to somewhere that he can succeed. But before we get off the running back stuff, Matt, so Saquon, I know we brought it up earlier. I do think it is an obvious upgrade from DeAndre Swift, and now really getting a three down back because they were kind of using the other two. They don't really check down to running backs too much, but now I feel like you have that other another wrinkle for the Eagles offense. And if you want to just look on paper, just the names, the offensive weapons, yeah, it's like a great um, thing to look at. AJ Brown, oh my gosh, Devontae Smith on the other side, Dallas Goddard, a top 10 tight end. Now you had Saquon, a top five running back. Jalen Hurts, was a top five, top 10 quarterback. But to me, if I believe it is Brian Johnson, right, of the Eagles, the offensive coordinator. I don't know if he can't figure out how to utilize the weapons, it's not going to matter because we definitely, and I got bashed right last year for saying that Eagles don't look like a juggernaut because they didn't offensively. They didn't feel like they had answers or counters to everything the defense would throw at them. Late in games, it turned into, oh, chuck it up to AJ Brown one on one. Let's pray. What did Sirianni say? Let's pray for a pass. We're looking to try to get a
Looking for the
pass
PI.
interference. And like, no, like scheme better, scheme your guys to get open. And now you have all the weapons. Jalen Hurts, I think, should be under a certain amount of pressure this year to be able to produce with guys like
Huge.
AJ Brown and Devontae, all the guys I just named, right? You got arguably a top five receiver. Devontae Smith, I think people consider him a top 15, top, 20 guy easily. Now with Dallas Goddard, top 10 tight end, and Saquon, one of the top marquee running backs. Yes, you lose Jason Kelsey, but you're still the quarterback. So looking to you, potential MVP candidate to come out here and produce. So I think there's going to be a decent amount of pressure on Jalen Hurts to perform this year. So yeah, running backs, unfortunately, just I don't think have that same impact as they used to maybe 10, even 15 years ago. Guys like Adrian Peterson that were, just causing havoc for defenses. But uh, yeah, we'll see how the running backs stuff plays out, man. But last thing want to get to here, so got to talk about Cowboys and Dolphins. So Cowboys, I mean, almost nothing to talk about, I would say. I don't think they have signed a single free agent as of yet. I know, like you said, they're linked to everyone, but just how is it surprising at this point? Is it, you're not shocked, but you're still disappointed? Like, what is that? What does it feel like to see all these names go off the board and nothing from Dallas?
That's what you just said it perfectly. Not shocked, but still disappointed. That's literally how I feel. I think they're the only team that hasn't signed someone today, like which is absurd. Or I should say not today, but like hasn't made an impact signing. Like shit, I don't know. It's more like I'm putting out an APB, hey Jerry, like the new season opened today, right? Like you can start making your team better, like you said, like how you're gonna go all in this year. So I don't know what all in means by just watching everybody. Oh, you go here, you go here. Oh, you can take our players too, Dan Quinn. Just take half the team with you to Washington. Like that's literally what's going on right now. So yeah, not even surprised at this point, but every year it hurts because that's how you win. That's how you win Super Bowls. That's how you make teams better. You can't draft your entire team. Like yes, drafting is important. Free agency is also important. Every aspect is important in the NFL. You have to be able to sign free agents, manage the cap, draft young players, build a core, have good like everything matters, but it's like he totally disregards free agency, which no team does really at this point. Like every GM is looking to dump the bad players, bring in new talent. And specifically right now, we're losing Tyron Smith, Stephon Gilmore, free agent. Who knows if he's coming back? Pollard's gone. We lost Tyler Biotish to Washington. He's gone. Dorrance Armstrong gone. He's going to Washington. Like we need answers. You're not going to be able to answer all of that in the draft, Jerry. Like you only got so many picks, and you're not going to hit on every single one. So why not get a surefire free agent that you know you're going to get? Now the running back is a huge issue, so I'll say I don't know if Derrick Henry is the answer, but how I'm feeling right now at this very moment on March 11th, either Derrick Henry or Aaron Jones will suffice. But you have to still draft a younger guy to complement them in the draft. You can get them as the bell cow, the lead back, but you got to get that number 2 guy solidified if that's in the draft or free agency. I don't know. Preferably the draft. But one of those 2 names will suffice. If you don't get any of those 2, I mean, you're in trouble because you got to revamp the offensive line and, you ain't spending money, you cheapskate. Like, I saw a report that Zach Moss, Cowboys were interested in Zach Moss, but they didn't want to go over the steep price that warranted his contract. Wow, the 2 years, $8 million that he signed with the Bengals, man, they outbid us big time. So you couldn't pay a running back $4 million. Like, oh my Lord. When I saw that, that's when I was like, wow, this guy is so cheap.
But I think
Just
you don't think they were looking to sign him as like a number 2 guy, right? Because I mean, I like Zach Moss. I think he did really well, but with the names out there, what did you think he was more warranted of an RB2, not so much an RB1? I don't know.
I mean, yeah, I think he'd be a great RB2, but I don't feel confident going into the season like, oh, Zach Moss is my starter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. But it's like I think you can get, say, Derrick Henry, Aaron Jones. Maybe Aaron Jones is realistic because, Mike McCarthy, ex-coach. I don't know. Maybe there's some history there. But you get a veteran guy, and then you can draft a guy, even day 3. You can draft a day 3 running back, cheap contract, young, fresh legs to complement. Maybe in a year or 2, turns out to be a good steal for you, and you can, elevate him to the RB1 when these other guys go out. But I just think you got to sign that. I'm not going into free agency on the first day thinking, oh, I got to sign a backup running back when I just lost my starter to another team. Like, that's the most idiotic way to plan. And you're drafting, you need offensive line. So what I'm thinking is Dallas is going to address that in the draft with their first round pick, whether it's center, Jackson Powers Johnson, or one of the
Hey,
tackles.
whoa.
I don't know. I don't know. What?
No, that's who Miami wants.
Well, I think everybody wants him. Like, he's the best center in college football, so, for obvious reasons. But Jerry, just wake up. Just wake up. Like, don't make every Cowboys fan suffer because we're getting really restless. And don't you think we deserve something? Like, we don't get anything from you. Like, just give us something. We give you everything. We give you our passion. We give you our attention. We spend money for you
I was
at
gonna say the
games. I
money.
buy beers for you at the games. Like, come on, like give us something. So, like, that's all I gotta say. We didn't sign anyone. We're losing a lot of guys, but we didn't sign anyone. So just wake up. Maybe tomorrow, when before we send this episode out, the mood will change, but they won't know. But I'm just saying, wake up, Jerry. Wake up and change.
Okay. Yeah. I'll take a little bit of the distraction off you, because it was kind of been hinted on with the Miami Dolphins this offseason, but there's a writer, I believe he writes for Sports Illustrated. He covers the Miami Dolphins. His name is Omar Kelly. He was referring to this offseason as the capocalypse um, for the Dolphins because of all the big names and all the contracts that were coming up, and we just could not pay everyone. So I think there were some cuts that were expected. Emmanuel Ogba, that was a huge one. We let go of X, who kind of saw coming, was an elite corner for many years, still playing at a good level, but just couldn't afford to keep that contract. Um, and then Jerome Baker, I think that was a tough one. He's kind of been the middle linebacking core for this unit for a long time. So that's where those were just the cuts, right? And then we got to kind of the guys we were letting test out free agency. Four, guys on or three guys on the defensive end, one guy on the offensive end. I was hoping we could bring back one of these four guys. We ended up bringing back none. So Christian Wilkins, 84 mil, we weren't going to be able to sustain that cap with all the guys we're trying to re-sign, extend, and bring back. Still got Jalen Phillips. We're gonna have to pay Javon Holland on that side. Jalen Waddle is coming up, so we weren't unfortunately going to be able to keep everyone. The capocalypse was upon us. Hard to see a guy like that go, but quite honestly, it if Zach Sealer didn't have the year that he had, I would feel a lot worse about this. But I think Zach Sealer, just as productive as Christian Wilkins, maybe didn't make the big splashy plays all the time, but kind of was an undervalued guy, but still a really good core piece for us who came up with big plays himself. So unfortunately, we have to see Christian Wilkins go. But that also goes along with a couple other guys. Let me see here. So I believe Brandon Jones, a safety I really liked, and Andrew Van Ginkel, who kind of came out of nowhere, surprised a lot of people that didn't follow the Miami Dolphins. He stepped up when Jalen Phillips got hurt. So he goes to Minnesota, kind of their one move. It's funny because he's literally a Viking. Like his name is, Andrew Van Ginkel, and he has the long blonde, like flowing hair out of the helmet. So kind of a perfect uh fit for PR, marketing, whatever you want to say, for him and the Vikings team. Happy he gets to go there, and he gets to reunite with Brian Flores, a guy he's familiar with over there. So wish him the best of luck. And then offensive line takes a hit, so something we're gonna have to address. Robert Hunt, I mean, 5 years, $100 million deal, so he's gonna be helping protect Bryce Young over in Carolina. Good for Robert Hunt. I think, he was a really good player. 100 million is a little bit surprising, but where else but Carolina, right? To kind of do that. So, hey, he's not a scrub, he's definitely a really good player, has shown that this year and the previous years, but wasn't sure he was worth $100 million. I don't quite remember off the top of my head what his guaranteed money was, but nevertheless, averaging about 20 million a year. Hey, I mean, good for him. He was able to get a bag out of it. So, unfortunately, we couldn't bring any of those guys back, but did go out and made a few moves already. Uh, so added Jordan Brooks to replace Jerome Baker. Jordan Brooks 110 plus tackles last year with Seattle, was kind of their head, nucleus of that defense. Uh, Someone I'm looking forward to, as helping establish that defensive culture that the new DC is going to bring in. We also add Jonnu Smith, a really really good signing, I think. Big yak guy actually. Kind of a physical freak, honestly, at the tight end position. I think his name doesn't get thrown out there as much as like a Kelsey or a Kittle. But if you want to just talk about a pure athlete, I mean, this guy is can do it all. He's a bigger body, but he can run with the ball after catch. And what else or what better place to go than Miami to be able to do that, right? Um, we also signed the Tennessee center, so maybe that means Connor Williams' time with Miami is done. I do believe he is going to warrant, a pretty decent sized contract somewhere else, but I think in lieu of that, we get Aaron Brewer from Tennessee on a 3 year deal, and Miami has historically now, I feel like, done a fairly decent job of taking in either rookies or guys that are looking to kind of rejuvenate their career and kind of turning it around. Case in point, Connor Williams did not have such a great stint in Dallas as you were probably aware of, but turned into the number one center in, according to Pro Football Focus, this past year before his injury. Austin Jackson, a guy that came in same year as Tua, kind of struggled his first couple years, but since then was able to improve. So yeah, not feeling too bad about Miami free agency so far. At least I am feeling better than your Cowboys, Matt. So sorry. Hopefully something gets done for you guys.
Yeah,
I will say real quick though, the one signing I didn't like, we re-signed Jake Bailey, our punter. I did not think he had a great year at all whatsoever. So that's kind of the one you got me beat there. Brian Anger, definitely a better punter, I think, than
ooh,
Jake
my $9
Bailey.
million punter,
Yeah,
baby.
yeah. So uh you got us beat there. But yeah, sorry, that was kind of long, but done with Miami. Do you want to say anything?
No, it's just nice to have a team that does something in free agency. That's all I gotta say. But that can
Yes.
be for any team, including the Panthers, I guess.
Yep. So, and we're still at the tip of free agency. So next week I'm sure we will have a lot more to discuss. Still a lot of big names, and I don't think we even got to all of them today. That we're able to re-sign. So we'll definitely check back in next week. Curious to see where T Higgins goes if he does get traded. I think that's a curious one
Mm.
to look out for. But anyway, we'll discuss more and more free agency signings, and even if we don't get to all of them during this period, during that summer kind of downtime, we'll probably have some time to discuss. So definitely we'll get to all the free agency stuff eventually. But to kind of round out our pod here with the last big, I guess you could say, sport topic. Gotta go to baseball with, I mean, opening days or opening series, I guess, in Korea, just around the corner now. So that involves my Dodgers, Matt, and your Yankees looking to start up pretty soon too. So since the Dodgers are coming up first, Matt, I figured I would kick it off with the Dodgers talk. And I'm trying not to get too high or low because my saying with my Dodgers, right? Nothing really matters as long as you take care of business, which I expect this team to do. But um, some question marks already in spring training. Not what you would love to see, but glad these things are presenting themselves now in spring training as opposed to maybe the regular season. But something I didn't was hoping it wouldn't be an issue is infield defense. Um, yeah, some question marks to figure out there all around. So entering spring training, Matt, obviously we were informed Mookie was going to be moving to second base full time. Gavin Lux coming back off of his ACL injury was going to be returning to the shortstop position. Max Muncy over to third with the arrival of Shohei Ohtani as our DH, right? So on paper, hitting wise, Gavin Lux better bat than he is a glove. Max Muncy, you're gonna get almost like him and Kyle Schwarber kind of have the same shtick, right? Defensively, there you're gonna take what you can get, but even average wise, but home run wise, you're gonna get probably around the 40 plus range in home runs. Um, However, uh, the defense has been an issue already in spring training. Gavin Lux, Matt, it's starting to scare me a little bit. So, he had a couple rough stints out there at short. Announcement was made that Mookie will be the starting shortstop moving forward now. So I was actually going to call for it before if they hadn't done that move prior to this pod being recorded, but they do go ahead and do it. Of course, Mookie makes an error his first game at shortstop, but you know what? It is what it is. I think I trust Mookie there more, but Gavin Lux, it's going to be a little bit of an interesting ride to see if his bat can carry his defense at least through the beginning part of the year because I think he has the yips or something, Matt.
He has the yips. If you watch his throws, he has the yips.
Reminds me of the Jose Altuve yips situation. Was it last year or a couple years ago? I can't really remember,
Yeah, a few
but
years ago, I think.
you know, he's barely, at short, it was kind of when IKF was playing shortstop that first year, a lot of low throws, getting dug up. It's like, but now that he's moved over to second base, there's no excuse on arm strength not being there, right? So you can tell he's kind of aiming. He's kind of trying to just get the ball to Freddie, who luckily is an absolute vacuum, like you said,
That's
at
what I
first
took
base,
away from it. He's like,
digging
man, this guy digs
literally
everything.
every ball that comes his way in between hop, short hop, long hop, doesn't matter. That's why Freddie Freeman is Freddie Freeman. But man, it is concerning, Matt, because if Gavin Lux can't even play second base, that's gonna fill a big, leave a big void, I think. Um, and as much as we do have utility guys, it is a luxury to have Kike, to have Chris Taylor. I think they're gonna be playing a majority of their time in the outfield, I would think. So if they are going to be infield guys, I think they need to get established early now. If whatever the platoon is going to be, because this roster is deep, honestly, Matt. Uh, Outfielders, Outman, Hayward. We got Teoscar Hernandez, who I think should play most of the time, and then Chris Taylor and Kike. That's a solid team right there. Then on the infield, Miguel Rojas. He doesn't have the bat. Gavin Lux has the better bat. But defensively, Miguel Rojas is a true shortstop. Like you watch him play defense, he is, one of the defensive wizards in this league at short. So gonna be a tough situation. I just wish Gavin Lux could play at least some salvageable second base, during the season. I think you give him some time. His leash is a little bit longer. But Max Muncy is like having the two of them perform how they do defensively, it's a little tough. I think you just got to leave Max at third though and let him stick it out. Get a feel for it over the year. I think he'll be an average to below average fielding third baseman, but if he can keep his average up around 200, 215, or better, that's all we're going to be looking for from him. So I just hope that they get it figured out because I saw them drop a pop fly the other day. Granted, it was Chris Taylor and Kike, I think, right? So, or I mean, maybe it was Chris Taylor and Gavin Lux, actually. But I'm just like,
Of
man,
course it is.
they need to figure out um this infield defense and soon because time is ticking and we're just moment or weeks away from opening day. And so
You're like a week away from the Korea series.
okay,
Not
maybe it is a
even
week away.
Wednesday,
Um
right? Or Thursday next week. It's coming up for you guys.
yeah, so I believe yeah, they kick off the
March 20th.
season
That's a
March.
Wednesday.
Oh yeah,
It's a
March
Wednesday.
20th. Um So little over a week now before opening day. Tyler Glass now getting the nod. He's looked really good in spring training. No problem with Yamamoto as the number two. I think he's gonna need some time to break into the MLB anyway. So not having the pressure of being a number one for this team, I think it's a perfect situation. Glass now been there, done that. He's used to being the ace. Now he gets to be the ace on a really star-studded team. Uh but yeah, opening day rosters, Matt. Um, I feel like it's mostly solidified for the most part. I'm just kind of curious to see how the uh pitching situation kind of works itself out, right? Because obviously we have Glass now and Yoshinobu. Bobby Miller, I think, is a given for sure. We did also sign James Paxton, right, from the Mariners, I believe.
The
Uh,
Reds, there's a Red.
oh,
Was he
Red
Mariners or Red
Sox.
Sox? He was the Red Sox last
Yeah.
year.
Um, but Gavin Stone has really, really been looking like he can be that guy. I thought it was going to be Emmett Sheehan. Now it's looking more like Gavin Stone with how he's been doing. But I think either way, well, I'll take either one of those guys. And then our bullpen, if I mean, poor Blake Trinan just took a ball off his rib cage the other, I think it was yesterday, took a comeback shot to his rib cage. So hopefully, um, that's not too bad. I think it's the X-rays did come back negative. So this bullpen, I mean, the names I really, really like. Ryan Brazier had a great year. Daniel Hudson, adding him, I believe he was from the Yankees, right? If I'm not mistaken. Um, Gratterall,
Daniel Hudson?
yeah, was that the guy we swapped with you guys from the Yankees? Was that not him?
No, he was on the Dodgers last year, but he was on the
Oh,
Nationals.
he was like hurt, I think. That's why he didn't really I don't think he
Yeah.
played that much last year. Oh yeah, sorry. Getting them mixed up. But Joe Kelly, I really like him. Yeah, his stuff. Evan Phillips was our closer last year. Blake Trinan, him or Brewster, I think, is going to be the closers this year. Ryan Yarborough, kind of a longer relief lefty guy out of the pen. Alex Vesia, I mean, I take my up and down with him as the season kind of goes. But hey, I think this team, man, it like really, really, I'm excited for this team. So I guess we'll see how it goes, Matt. But yeah, I think roster's pretty much ironed itself out. So that being said, I'm, looking forward to the season starting. Unfortunately, some bad news for you though, I think. So what is
It's
I
like
mean, just gotta break the bad news. But yeah, Yankees, I think not trending in the right direction as opening day approaches.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily the play of guys, really. It's, the classic Yankees, right? We always get bit by the injury bug in the worst possible time. Sure enough, last week we get the news, Oswald Peraza, he's gone for a significant amount of time, 6 to 8 weeks. He's getting shut down. So who knows if we even see him for the first half of the season. Hopefully, maybe he comes back second half of the season to play, but that's a huge blow because he's technically our backup shortstop to Volpe. So we need to fill that void somehow. And then it gets worse because our two best players are now quote unquote injured. Aaron Judge, uh, you know, it's a load management thing, but still a little concerning that it's being brought up at this point. They said Aaron Boone would ideally play him on Wednesday. So if he's not in the lineup on Wednesday, I will be a little concerned. However, the biggest concern at this point in time for me is Garrett Cole. It was announced that he's getting an MRI. I don't know if he's getting it. Did he's getting it today? Or maybe today or tomorrow. I don't know. I forget. But it's announced he's getting an MRI. They say it's precautionary, but they say that for every injury. Oh, Aaron Judge, he's fine. His toe is fine. He'll be out for a few weeks. Well, he was out for a few months, and look how that turned out for us last year. But IKF last year. Oh, IKF, he'll be fine at shortstop. Well, you ended up benching him in the playoffs. That didn't turn out so good. So every time they say everything's fine, something bad happens in the long run. So the only thing that raises a flag for me is like, okay, you say he's fine, but nobody gets an MRI if they're quote unquote fine. If you're fine and you're sore, oh yeah, he's got a little soreness in his elbow or his arm. Well, I shouldn't say elbow, but his arm, tired arm. He'll be shut down for a day or two and then he'll throw again. Okay, no big deal. Every pitcher's gonna go through that, but no pitcher wants to get an MRI. And Garrett Cole, knock on wood, he's been great with dealing with injuries and staying clean throughout his career. So just a little concerning. He's getting an MRI. We'll wait to see what the results are, but this is big news for me because if he's hurt for a significant amount of time, punt the season. Like there's no way you're not going to win without him. So you better Brian Cashman get on the phone. I would trade Juan Soto. I would trade Gleyber Torres. I mean, you got a clean house. You got all these guys on 1 year deals. You're trying to go all in this year. Sorry, we cannot win if Garrett Cole, Aaron Judge, these guys are not, on the field for a long period of time. If they miss, everyone's going to miss days here and there. Aaron Judge is going to miss some time, but it cannot be the significant injury. That's what's going to kill us. And I'm just worried that Garrett Cole sustained something significant for a long period of time, whether it's something he's going to miss the first 1 or 2 months and we're just down so big that we can't recover. So yeah, I'm a little worried in that sense. But going back to Peraza and kind of filling out this roster, I mean, I think they feel like they have a good state or good saying of who's going to be on the roster. I mean, DJ third, Volpe short, Glaber at first. I mean, Glaber at second, Rizzo at first. Your two catchers probably going to be Trevino and Wells. The outfield, you got a plethora of guys there. You got Stanton, Judge. Who else am I missing? Soto, Verdugo, and then Grisham is kind of that late inning guy you can put in for defense. He's going to spot start here and there. And then, the pitchers, you got your usual starters. We have our starting five on paper. Maybe Blake Snell comes into play. I don't know. I think the relievers, for the most part, are pretty set. We add the two Dodger boys, Ferguson and Gonzalez, as left-handed arms. So I think that's huge for us. And then, Canely, Clay Holmes, Loizica, kind of our three-headed monster in the back end of the bullpen, I would say. Ideally, that's your 7, 8, 9 guys. Maybe you throw in Ferguson if you have a left-handed stint in the lineup. But you have your core, I think. But like I said, the backup shortstop is an issue. Like they could go with Oswald Cabrera, but he's a utility guy. He's not really hitting. So, I mean, I'm looking at who they have. Maybe they bring up Yorbit Vivas. That's the guy that we traded with your team, with the Dodgers, with that Victor Gonzalez, Trey Sweeney trade. He honestly could be on the roster just because we don't have a backup shortstop that can fill that need. So if it's not him, I don't think you're gonna call up a guy like Keith Smith who's been playing in spring training. Like, you kind of want a guy that's gonna bat a little bit too, at least. But I don't know. I feel like they should go out and sign someone cheap. Maybe like I think Donovan Solano is a name that's been kind of thrown out. I think maybe you can get him for cheap. That would be a nice pickup to solidify the backup shortstop role, but something needs to be done there because Peraza's injury is huge. But yeah, Garrett Cole is obviously the big injury to monitor at this point because that's the season waiting in the balance, and it could be over before the first game, which is sad.
It is sad, but I'm hoping for your sake, Matt, that yeah, definitely Garrett Cole does um end up playing and is injury free. So knock on wood for you guys because yeah, it's better when the Yankees are good, I think, for baseball. Um, but on that note, Matt, you know what? It was a long pod. We had a lot to talk about. So why don't we get to kind of our closing stuff here? So you got your foolish fool picked out already. So who is your foolish fool of the week, Matt?
Yeah, my foolish fool of the week. We haven't had an NFL one, I guess, or I guess just to say free agency started this week. We'll go to the NFL for our foolish fool, and it's David Tepper, first time winner of this award on this show. But for those of you that don't know, he is the owner of the Carolina Panthers and has kind of built up a reputation that's not so good with Carolina Panthers fans. But specifically with how they're managing, draft picks, signings, and they did trade away Brian Burns today, which was kind of the start of this foolish fool segment for me. But I'm just gonna read you what they traded and what they received, basically. So they basically gave away picks for, we're gonna put in quotations, Caleb Williams, so the number one pick. They traded away Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore, 2023 top 10 pick, and a second round pick, and a potential 2024 and 2025 first round pick, because that's what they could have got for Brian Burns last season when the Rams were offering a trade. They could have got two first round picks and a second. Instead, Panthers are stuck with Bryce Young, 1 year of Brian Burns, DJ Johnson. I have no idea what his role is on the team, and you got five second round picks. So just the capital. I mean, like the Brian Burns trade really sums it up, right? Two first round picks and a second. You say, nah, we're not gonna give it to him. We're not gonna send you to LA, but we'll send you to New York and we'll take a second round and a fifth round pick. Like just poor management right there. So I'm sorry, Carolina Panthers fans. It must be tough. I'm suffering in this free agency period right now, but I think you guys are having it a little bit worse by your GM doing stuff. So yeah, sorry, David Tepper. I think you should sell the team to make the fans happy. But you are the foolish fool of the week so far
Yeah,
this
well,
week.
I do not think that is
I mean,
happening,
that's
Matt.
not going to happen, but he's got a pretty big ego. But yeah, fans are not happy in Carolina right now.
Yeah,
I'll say
I
that.
definitely agree with that. But moving on here, I see you got our sports or state of the 808 picked out for me. Thank you for that. Saving me some research. So, wow, Bobby Kern calls his final UH game on Saturday. Wow. Yeah, definitely a long time voice of sports radio in Hawaii, Matt. I can remember listening to him when we were younger. So wow, did they have they named a replacement for him yet? Um,
Not that I heard. They just had a nice ceremony at halftime at the basketball game, saying that's his last it's his last sports game that he's calling for basketball and football, I believe. So I mean, I think he's still gonna have his radio show, like his talk show, but in terms of broadcasting and calling the game, I think he's hanging it up after this one, after this season.
wow, okay, so yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he goes out, but um yeah, good memories, I think, all around. I don't know if you have a call that you remember, Matt, but I just remember listening to, some of the UH games and stuff that I couldn't always get to watch. So his voice is just always gonna ring in my head.
It's
Um,
really for me, it's him and Jim Leahy. That's kind of like, they're the faces of UH sports, whether it's TV, radio, like, and now you know, they're both gone. I'm not saying like in terms of like death, but like
yeah.
they're not on television, they're
Mm-hmm.
not on radio anymore. So it's kind of like a new era. Obviously, Kanoa's taking over for his dad and got that transition and that gene, that Leahy
Mm-hmm.
gene. So yeah, but interesting to see who the radio guy is gonna be. I was joking with Hunter. I was like, oh, maybe Darren Eha can step into the to the radio. But yeah, I don't know. I really don't know who it's gonna be. I have no idea. Scott Robbs? I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Well, we will definitely see their what or who the replacement ends up being. But why don't you round us out here, Matt? Sports fact of the day.
All right, we are recording on March 11th, and we'll go back to 2020. This is when COVID started, literally, because this is the exact date when the NBA suspended their 2019-2020 season after Rudy Gobert tested positive for COVID-19 with that infamous video of him touching the microphone, kind of mocking the virus. Sure enough, he gets COVID. NBA gets shut down, all the other sports leagues get shut down, and then the world shuts down in result of that. So really, 2020, that was the start of the pandemic on this date, which is kind of crazy that it's 2024 right now. So that's our sports fact of the day, kind of a eerie one, I guess you could say.
Yeah, that never forget the Rudy Gobert
Yep,
touching the mics
never
thing.
forget
That
that
no
day.
one will ever forget that as long as NBA media is around. So, okay, well, sounds good, Matt. It was a busy one this week. I'm guessing we're gonna have just as busy as a pod next week with the rest of the free agency signings that'll all get done. So, with that being said, why don't we wrap on today? So, everyone, thank you for listening as usual. Have a good and safe week, and we'll catch you guys next week.